What's up, guys? We're back. We got a new War Leaks video. War Leaks is pretty good at chopping up and putting the best, like, high-speed combat, full octane, need for speed level action into one video. So we're gonna watch that. That was a fucking description for War Leaks. Check them out. I'll leave them. I'll tag them in the title of this video. It says, Ukraine war, helmet camera saves Ukrainian soldier from headshot during heavy combat. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. We're trying to blow this channel up, you guys. The more people that see this content, the more people, ideally, that are planning on coming to Ukraine will follow my direction and go to a more foreigner-friendly unit. I've seen a lot of foreigners come to Ukraine. They join specific units, and they don't last more than a couple weeks in this country. So please help me blow this channel up. Also, our Discord, you guys. Our Discord, we're almost at 5,000 people on Discord. I don't even fully understand Discord yet, to be honest, and this shit is blowing up. We have so many. We have our uncensored content on there, like an archive for our members of all the nasty, brutal heads blowing off and people burning and that kind of stuff. We have all kinds of channels, outdoor channels, fitness channels, people preparing to come to Ukraine, have a channel to talk about what exercises they do to get prepared and all kinds of cool stuff, man. So, whoa! Check out Discord. Like, share, subscribe. Let's go. Goddamn. Oh, yeah, we've seen this. That is crazy.
It's been a long time since.
So let's watch. I want to compare something real quick before I. Oh my god, dude! I need to get my head checked. Seriously, and then I just fucked that up too. Oh my god, dude! What is happening right now? Wow. Okay, so this is absurd. And you know what? We're gonna go top left. We're gonna try this out. I'll just wait for the comments. People be like, go to the bottom left and the top left, you're blocking, blah, blah, blah. This is a protein milk, 50 grams of protein in this little carton of milk. And it's plant protein. Pretty cool. It's kind of like one of my staples out here in Ukraine. So I wanted to show you this guy with the shotgun, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did he hit it? All right, let's say for the context of the point I'm trying to make, he hit that in 5 or 6 shells, right? That's a Lightning. That's a fixed wing FPV. Those things are gnarly, dude. On my last mission, we were getting hit hard with those, and I don't know, man. You when you're in Ukraine long enough, especially in a combat environment, you start to pick up on different noises, and you know the sounds of different drones. And this was my first time experiencing getting hit with these Lightnings, and it has a totally different. It's a unique sound. It's more of like a small motorcycle sound rather than like the squeal of an FPV or the hum of a Mavic, right? Okay, so that guy didn't hit at all. He was shooting it with a rifle. He didn't hit it at all, I don't think. And then look at these guys here. Not this guy. Look at these guys. Shooting full auto. And it still hits. So the point I'm trying to make is shotguns are effective for sure, especially when you have these hunting shotguns like this that have the really long barrel. I've seen a handful of these out there on the front. These things kind of seem to be the number one method of drone deterrence right now. You could see those guys were shooting, 4 or 5 of them shooting full auto at this thing. Nobody hit it. All right, sorry, we'll move on.
It's been a long time since a video has captured the fog of war in all its surreal reality, as well as this footage of an International Legion fighter during heavy combat in Crimea. The soldier, armed with a designated marksman rifle, films himself caught out in the open between the Russian and Ukrainian zero lines. In an attempt to avoid the crossfire, he tries to pull back when a second fighter suddenly appears on screen.
6-3 shot on me! It's 6-3 shoot! Get down! No, it's air friendly, it's friendly! Get down! 6-3 shoot on my position! 6-3 shoot on my position in Borgod on the forest!
He's Polish. You can tell by his accent. I wonder if this is that one Polish unit that we watch sometimes. Kalinowski, or you know what I'm talking about, something regiment.
The soldier wearing the camera gives his comrade a quick sit-rep to help him get his bearings.
Friendly! 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 Friendly!
I've just retreated from the front.
Retreat this way?
I was in the trench. I was digging.
It strongly looks like a random encounter, and the two met by coincidence while making their way back to friendly positions. It also appears that the soldier wearing the camera was in possession of a radio and in contact with friendly forces who were directing heavy fire toward the Russians. However, it also appears that these friendly forces were temporarily firing on their position as well. The soldier repeatedly mentioned a friendly element with a call sign ending 6-3, stating that they were, in fact, the ones shooting at their location. The confusion of the situation became even more apparent when the second soldier seemed to have no idea where the friendly trench system was located.
Did he get hit?
Where's the trench? Where's our trench?
Yeah.
Where?
Follow this road.
After the first soldier gave him directions, they parted ways, each crawling toward their intended position, further underscoring the fact that this was a chaotic, random encounter under partial friendly fire in the fog of war. I don't know about you, but this video strongly reminded me of a particular scene from HBO's Band of Brothers, Episode 2, Day of Days, to be precise. Namely during the Battle of Breakhor Manor, where there was a nearly identical encounter between two airborne soldiers that unfortunately didn't end well. Do you remember the scene? Let me know in the comments. This is some equally intense.
Something I want to mention here that I was thinking of. What this guy's wearing, hold on, where are we right now? 238. Okay, so we'll go back to this position. But so this guy
Fire toward the Russians. However,
this guy's wearing no tape. He's got the same helmet Ukrainians and Russians wear, and he's wearing multicam, which Ukrainians and Russians wear. If this dude ran up on me with an AK, if I didn't hear him speak English first, I would have clapped this dude for sure. The guy who's videotaping must be pretty professional. Maybe he didn't see him run up, but this dude straight up looks like a fucking Russian. So, good on him for not shooting that dude. Alright, 238.
Do you remember the scene? Let me know in the comments.
Yes.
This is some equally intense helmet cam footage of a Ukrainian assault on well-prepared, fortified Russian positions that has been sitting on my hard drive for quite some time. Somehow, for some reason, I never had the chance to share it with you until now. What's interesting about it is that it shows an event that occurs definitely more often than you think in combat, but of which images or videos have rarely been published until now. The footage shows two Ukrainian soldiers armed with M16 rifles in a combat situation where they seem to be at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Their behavior quickly shifts from attempting offensive actions to clearly defensive conduct. Then suddenly, this happens. The helmet camera worn by the soldier in front is shot off by incoming Russian fire. While this was definitely what you could call $1 million shot and most likely saved him from the bullet, this actually still happens more often than you'd think, for one simple reason. In most cases, helmet cameras increase the profile and silhouette of the helmet, which means the camera can end up sticking out from behind cover. However, that wasn't all for the soldier. Just as his battle buddy threw a grenade toward the Russians to give him and his comrade a bit of relief, another unexpected thing happened. The soldier was either hit by a drone-dropped grenade, or the ammunition in his bag ignited and exploded.
We'll put this, obviously he's censoring it here. I've seen this uncensored, and we'll put the uncensored version in the Discord, so go check it out. Link is in the description. But I think he's explaining it here.
Due to another hit. While the
Okay, so he had some other shit in his bag. It could have been ammo, could have been explosives, but he gets hit in his backpack, and his ammo or something starts cooking off in his backpack. So he's crawling away and his backpack's popping out like fireworks. From my understanding, both those guys survived though. Also, can we take a quick second to appreciate the beauty of the full size M16, dude? So pretty. Looks like these might be aim point optics too. These guys had some kit. What kind of optic is this? Fuck was that? I know somebody's gonna correct me on that. What kind of optic is this? I mean, I know it's a red dot, but what brand?
And his bag ignited and exploded due to another hit. While the previous clip was archival footage from Ukraine's failed 2023 counteroffensive, this here is fairly recently released first-person footage showing Ukrainian special forces hunting Russian sabotage and reconnaissance groups during a clearance operation in Yampil located in Donetsk Oblast.
These are the pros, dude, that we saw the other day that I pulled off of like X or TikTok or X or so fuck another one, Reddit. These guys were beasts. They're special operations force that was dispatched to counter a Russian recon team. Usually recon teams are good themselves, so these guys must be badass.
The men arrived at their objective in Humvees and quickly jumped into the battle, indicating that they had solid intelligence on the houses where the Russian infiltrators were hiding. This intel most likely came from previous drone observations, as is typical at this stage of the war. A Russian FPV drone disrupted the flow of the operation, and one Ukrainian Special Forces operator was wounded. However, he was quickly evacuated from the hot zone and sheltered in one of the Humvees. This gives us the opportunity to take another look at the Humvee, which has been heavily covered with nets for protection against drones. While Russian drones definitely disrupted the Ukrainian operators to some extent, they didn't seem to have any effect on the overall operational pace, as the men kept advancing in search of the hiding Russians. What stands out to me here is that the village is still relatively intact, and the houses haven't yet been largely destroyed by artillery, airstrikes, or drones. Unfortunately, the likelihood that this will change is very high. As in all operations conducted in urban or semi-urban environments, the men had to proceed carefully, since not only drones but also booby traps and cornered armed Russians pose a significant threat. Here we have another instance of...
So I already know somebody's in the comments right now bitching about me pausing, but IDGAF, okay? I want to point out a couple of these things. You could tell by the way they're holding their rifles. You can tell by the equipment on their, or the attachments on their rifles, that these guys are a much more professional unit, right? These guys have serious optics, nice suppressors. They're holding their rifles like you would see professional shooters hold a rifle. They get the most. I don't even hold my rifle like this. It's not. Well, I kind of do because my flashlight's up front, right? So I hold it up there so I can reach the flashlight toggle. But my point is, these guys are good. Also, there was another point. Oh yeah, the way that he clears this room right here, textbook.
and cornered armed and had to proceed.
For one, he is checking his corners, right? And then he switches arms, which is taught a lot in Ukrainian units.
Proceed carefully,
Watch.
since not only drones
Switch.
but also booby traps and cornered armed Russians pose a significant threat.
And he
Here
pre-fires.
we have another instance of the soldiers letting their rifles do the looking by firing. The Russian infiltrators, however, didn't feel much like fighting that day, and several of them surrendered to the Ukrainian Special Forces and were taken prisoner. Here we see the Ukrainian Special Forces operators instructing one of the Russians to come out with his hands visible. This is to make sure he isn't holding a weapon or an unpinned grenade. The footage actually continues a bit longer, but I'll leave it at this for now, as there's still more footage to go over. This Russian quad with a trailer either triggered several mines or managed to evade countless drone drops. Whatever the case, it resulted in the creation of an impressive albeit short video. On closer inspection, it even appears to have been a combination of mines and drones, which if you ask me makes the whole thing even more impressive. This is, by the way, what it looks like when you have to cross one of those kill zones in Ukraine that have been mentioned so often in the media lately.
Look at these. A lot of these, I know you can't tell really, but I bet you a lot of these are bodies on this road here. It was like this. We saw this on the road of life the only road outside of Bakhmut, connecting Bakhmut to all the logistics and supply routes. It was like that, that road of life, dead bodies everywhere.
The constant surveillance and pressure can easily cause soldiers to make mistakes, and here we see two Russian vans colliding and crashing as they were being chased by a Ukrainian drone.
Fuck.
Вот это я понимаю! Давай, давай! На Киев!
To some, these tanks you see here are yet more monstrosities with which the Russians try to adapt to the dangerous realities of modern drone warfare. To others, they are tactically clever innovations designed to adapt to the constantly evolving nature of Ukraine's drone war. No matter which faction you belong to, one thing is clear, as you can see in these clips, it didn't stop with the much-mocked so-called turtle tank. While some Ukrainian and Turkish AI content farms have dubbed this tank the Black Panther tank, I'd say it looks more like a Wookiee, so I'll just call it the Wookiee tank. In addition to its extended armor, it's been covered with wires, branches, or a mix of both, creating an extra layer of protection, mainly against Ukrainian fiber optic drones whose control cables can get tangled in the wires, tracks, or branches. The concept has already been extended to other vehicles, and while Ukrainian Telegram channels regularly make fun of this approach, there are already images of Ukrainian MRAPs that also make use of this additional form of protection. However, this Russian van really tops it all, but see for yourself. This is what you call hedgehog defense, I guess. I think it also depicts pretty well what kind of nemesis drones have become for light, medium, and even heavy formations. Coming back to the latter,
Dude, we're living in Mad Max, bro. This is straight up some Mad Max shit.
For light, medium, and even heavy formations. Coming back to the latter, the Ukrainian response to these newly upgraded turtle tanks is, of course, still FPV drones, though it now can happen they have to be launched in even greater numbers. Nonetheless, tanks remain easy targets, and the lead vehicle equipped with a mine plow to clear the path for the following tanks was quickly disabled by drone operators from Ukraine's Signum unit. The advance of the second armored vehicle in the column was also effectively halted through the use of a second FPV drone. Since the Russian assault had not yet been fully repelled, the Ukrainians launched additional FPV drones in an effort to bring the Russian tank attack to its final failure. The countering of the Russian attack initially progressed well, but then it came down to the real troublemakers, the more heavily armored Wookiee tanks. The drone footage clearly shows that these tanks withstood significantly more hits, with around 8 drones being used to continuously strike the vehicles. According to some reports, it didn't stop at just 8 FPV drones that day, as the Ukrainians had to deploy many more to finally bring the hairy beasts to a halt, even though the entire process was not made public. The total number of drones that, according to the operators of the Ukrainian page Deep State, were needed to destroy the most resilient of these upgraded tanks will definitely shock you and leave you in disbelief, but more on that in a moment. As you can see,
How many do we think it took to take out their Chewbacca tank? I'm gonna guess 19 or 20.
Harrier variants remained largely intact even after countless hits and immobilization, requiring continued strikes. Chewbacca here, for example, caused the Ukrainians so many problems that, according to Deep State, a total of 60 FPV drones had to be used to finally destroy it. This was because, according to them, it was initially quite difficult to find a weak spot, as the tank had essentially been transformed into a moving, hairy bunker. Therefore, it had to be shaved first so the operators could get a better idea of where to strike it, and yes, this is the same tank as before, just shaved now. Here we have an immobilized, earlier variant of a turtle tank, whose armor was reinforced with wooden logs. The vehicle was quickly used by Ukrainian drone operators for target practice. At first, there were a few drone drops with little effect, followed by FPV drones. As a result, the vehicle eventually caught fire. The drone operator's attention then shifted to 2 Russians a bit north of the burning vehicle, who must have fled from it. The 2 men quickly became the target of an FPV drone, which hit one of them while the other avoided the strike. However, I would like to ask for your understanding that I can only show such footage on Telegram. When another FPV drone hit the burning tank but came to rest on the ground
We'll put that We'll put that clip in the Discord as well. We don't use Telegram. Telegram is a Russian app, and just out of policy, we don't fuck with Telegram.
Front of it without exploding, 2 more Russians crawled out from under the tank and tried to escape. However, due to the difficult terrain, this proved challenging, and after some back and forth, they sought cover in the thicket right next to the tank, where they were soon attacked by drones. Once again, I ask for your understanding that I neither can nor want to show such footage publicly. However, while I believe it's important for people to see the unfiltered reality of this war, Telegram serves as a good compromise in this case. While the fact that a modified Wookiee turtle tank managed to withstand 60 FPV drones might sound like a major success for the Russian.
So I want to explain something real quick, because I think there's some misunderstanding regarding why cages and the hair and the chains and shit, why they become effective. So with these anti-vehicle, hold on, let's go back. I want to. There was a good clip of it. With these anti-vehicle FPVs, they have shape charges on them. So they have like a directional blast cone, typically. I don't know where it's at, guys. Well, this kind of shows it, I guess.
Being used to continuously strike the vehicles. The drone...
Sort of, right? So they have like this shape charge on it. So when it hits armor, like an RPG-7 warhead does, the explosive in it is all focused into a really narrow area to pierce, melt and pierce the armor, and then basically fry whatever's inside. So when you have something such as this, that shape charge, the whole mechanism starts and it explodes on this hair, if you will, on the cage first. So all that directional pressure and force is released when it hits there rather than when it actually hits the armor, so it becomes borderline ineffective against something like this. We were FPV'd every infill. There's no way around it. I was FPV when we were in the MRAPs, when we were in Spartans, when we were in M113s, and luckily we always have cages. So the cages will stop the first couple of those. Eventually they'll blow up the cages, right? Or they'll ruin the cages, and then they have a way to get in and effectively get through that armor.
In this case. While the fact that a modified Wookiee turtle tank managed to withstand 60 FPV drones might sound like a major success for the Russians, the number of such mechanized assaults appears to be steadily decreasing. The current focus remains on smaller infantry pushes. The footage you're seeing here also shows why, even though turtle tanks can take quite a beating, they remain vulnerable. On the Ukrainian side, only the volume and intensity of the strikes need to be slightly increased, and even such attacks quickly lose their impact. Here, a Russian MRAP reinforced with makeshift armor demonstrates this perfectly. While it definitely looks like a hard nut to crack, the vehicle can be destroyed like any other. Once the drone operators score a mobility kill, they just have to stay consistent with their strikes.
Yeah.
A combination of drone drops and FPV drone strikes is used here, and after a total of about 5 to 6 hits, the effort pays off and the vehicle is destroyed. Not only was the footage produced during this process impressive, but so was the resilience of this particular MRAP. As mentioned before, this one was truly a tough nut to crack, or what do you think? Here, Ukrainian drones document the final moments of a Russian BMP-2 that was maneuvering somewhere in the gray zone. 2 FPV drones hit the IFV and set it ablaze. After burning fiercely for some time, a huge explosion occurs, followed by multiple smaller secondary detonations, most likely from the vehicle's ammunition. To keep this video from being too one-sided and to show a bit of transparency, it should be said that not only Russian BMPs and tanks are easy prey for drones. Here we see an abandoned Ukrainian BMP-2 being meticulously targeted by Russian FPV drones and DJI drop drones until it too explodes in a massive fireball. The vehicle burns and smokes for a while, but then it explodes. It seems this BMP was carrying a bit more ammunition, because the blast is absolutely massive.
Oh my God.
So massive that during the subsequent battle damage assessment, nothing of the vehicle can be seen anymore. It's basically gone. Also gone was this Ukrainian tank, which hit a Russian TM-62 anti-tank mine, triggering a massive explosion. And here's yet another mechanized section that charged head-on into anti-tank mines. To break the endless cycle of tanks driving over mines, we switch to the drone feed of a reconnaissance drone that has spotted a Russian Mista self-propelled howitzer. A few FPV drones are dispatched to deal with the vehicle, and after a few hits, this one also goes up in a blast.
Oh shit.
A few FPV drones are
It looks like this was hit by lightnings. The mobility kill, it became immobile because of lightning strikes. It looks like those are those fixed wing FPVs I was talking about. Nasty fuckers. The thing about the fixed wings, though, in my opinion, they just have two wings and they're very directional, right? So if you know one's coming at you this direction and you can get underneath it and go the opposite direction, it can't flip on a dime and flip a 180 like an FPV can. So to me, the Lightnings, even though they're faster, they're not as scary as your standard like a quadcopter FPV.
dispatched to deal with the vehicle, and after a few hits, this one also goes up in a blast. This FPV drone, this time a Russian one, lands directly in front of a Ukrainian fighting position reinforced with wood in a forest, possibly near Kremina. The Ukrainian soldier inside pushes it out and starts poking it with the barrel of his rifle. Just shortly after, the drone explodes. A detailed BDA, however, is missing. Here, a Russian buck battery wasn't just trolled in the worst way by Ukrainian drone pilots, it was also completely humiliated and, in the truest sense of the word, owned. But what happened? Well, after the air defense system was spotted, a Ukrainian FPV drone landed on it right between its missiles while the vehicle was on the move. It didn't detonate immediately but instead stayed on the vehicle and went along for the ride. It's unclear why exactly the Ukrainians didn't detonate it as soon as they had the chance, but even crazier is the fact that it simply stayed there for 15 damn kilometers. Perhaps there was a malfunction, but the feed remained uninterrupted the entire time, and the Ukrainians definitely stayed in control of the drone. After it had sat on top of the buck for 15 kilometers, it even observed an entire Russian squad that at first didn't seem to notice the drone, but when they finally did, they were just as stunned as you and I are right now. They quickly began to gather around it and even started taking pictures with their cell phones. It's still unclear why the Ukrainians didn't detonate it at that moment, as it would have been the perfect time from a casualty maximizing standpoint. One soldier then tried to use a stick to remove the drone from the top of the buck and still, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the men started to panic and began to flee. What do you think? Was this real or staged? I mean, what the hell is this? Let me know in the comments.
So I heard about this actually. It was funny. I read about it, this situation. So FPVs, he said, I wonder why they didn't detonate the FPV. They're not remote detonated, typically. So there's not, there's not a Ukrainian sitting behind a screen waiting to press the clacker like you would a claymore, right? They're pressure triggered. So that's why you'll see like those coat hangers all tangled up in front of them, because when pressure hits those, that's what triggers the explosive. So I had a couple of thoughts on this. Yeah, maybe the pressure sensors just didn't go off and it was a dud FPV, so they're like, well, let's land it on there and see where this goes. Well, yeah, or they purposely did this to take it, to see where they're taking their armored vehicles, where their safe location is, right? And hopefully get a whole lot more collateral with one FPV explosion rather than just one some kind of ballistic missile truck. But also, they start taking off here, because I think the Ukrainians kick on the propellers and try to get it to get it to explode, right? It's probably sitting there inactive, right? Or they think it's inactive, but the propellers aren't going. What are they called? Propellers? That sounds wrong.
Unclear why the Ukrainians didn't detonate it at that moment, as it soldier then tried to use a stick to remove the drone from the top of the buck and still, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the men started to panic and began to flee. What do you think? Was this real or staged? I mean, what the hell is this? Let me know in the comments.
I bet you that's what happened. That was cool, man. Hey, check out War Leaks. Here he is right here. I say he, I don't know who runs that channel, but I've been following War Leaks for a long time. That's good footage, dude. Again, I said this last time we watched War Leaks, but they're always posting relatively new footage that's just came out recently, or older footage, but it's relevant to some kind of topic that he's trying to cover, right? So good shit, very cool video, 30-minute video, interesting, a little bit longer than usual. I had some people ask if we could do longer videos than this, but I just figured people wouldn't stick around. If you look at the metrics, like the average watch time is typically like 10-15 minutes of a video. So I feel like the people that would actually stick through to the 45 minutes, I bet the day ones would, the day ones subscribers and the ones always up in the comments, but the viewership will probably drop off. I don't know, maybe we'll try it. Also, I wanted to mention this. I've had a lot of people reach out directly to me in regards to the constant drilling happening in my area, in my building that I'm in, and people are concerned. And I just want to let you know there's a lot of construction in this area right now, and the drilling and the hammering, it's very normal. There's nothing abnormal about it. Nobody's trying to like triangulate my position or anything like that, but I appreciate your concern. Good looking out. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, jump in the Discord. I love you. See you in the next video.